Hello and welcome to WP. Well, Pioneer Park is a patch of grass in the heart of Fremantle, but right now it's tent city, home to around 100 homeless people. The camp was designed to give the homeless a place to go for a few days from Boxing Day, but it's instead highlighted Perth's growing homelessness issue, with Premier Mark McGowan wanting it wrapped up now. With many of the homeless indigenous people, we talked to Ngalla CEO Mervyn Eades, who's launched a scathing attack at the McGowan Government.
I think the Premier's comments are quite rude. To move homeless, wanting to forcibly remove the homeless with police. That's not Australian. To be wanting to do that, we're talking about the most marginalised and disadvantaged people in Western Australia. Is some of these people that we're seeing camping down in Fremantle. These people have nothing. They don't have a home. They don't have no home or no sustainability in their lives. They're just homeless.
Fremantle, Brad Pettit has responded because it's his city. What's your take on how he's handling it?
Brad Pettit is the way he's handled it is fine, and his humanity. Brad's got a lot of humanity, and I think the Premier needs to get a bit of that humanity as well. It's human life, it is people, it's families, it's West Australians that he's talking about moving on. Brad Pettit has taken the line, that they need support. The Premier should also get on board and support what's needed, and that is houses. 15,000 houses is needed in West Australia, and that's the bottom line. No matter what the Premier says, trying to get himself out of his responsibility, it is a state's responsibility to house people.
Mayor Pettit is kind of in the middle of all this, where he says earlier in the year he wanted them moved on in a week, and also he said that the camp is illegal. What do you say to that?
When they say the camp is illegal, Australia was built on illegal. This place was built. This place was illegally built on the First Nations people's land. This place was invaded. When they want to have a yarn about illegal, their occupation is illegal. And the way they're treating the First Nations people, the sovereign people of this land, that's so illegal. So when we talk about illegal on a little park anywhere, let's talk about the truth. Start truth telling of who's illegal, what is illegal, what do they deem illegal? Because what I deem illegal is what happened to our people. Our people were not homeless before this country was invaded. We lived and survived. But we've been forced into Western culture, Western way of life, and now we're not being ours, and we're being forced from pillow to post, pushed to the fringes of society. Why?
Tent City began in Boxing Day as a place for homeless people to go. How has this all gone wrong?
Oh, they'll be homeless. They'll be homeless in January to December. They've been homeless for the last some of them up to 10 years. So the time span of homelessness, that's here nor there. It's not going away until these people are housed, and that's the truth of the matter. No matter what I saw it might be for the government, it needs to be someone needs to do something about it and create housing for these people. It is not going away, no matter how bad the eyesore is for the city of Fremantle, and may it be Fremantle, Belmont, East Perth, any suburb in Perth, it's not going away because it's everywhere. Homelessness is real.
And now, here's AMA WA President Dr. Andrew Miller with a COVID-19 update.
Hi, thanks for your time. I want to say a few things about the B117 variant of COVID and the other variants we're starting to see about hotel quarantine and about vaccination. So firstly, the different variants we're seeing are to be expected. We see lots of different changes to the virus. It just makes a mistake as it's replicating itself, and over time that accidentally changes the way it behaves. If one of those changes makes the virus spread more easily, then that variant will have an advantage over all the other ones. And that's what we've seen with B117, which has now become the dominant strain in the UK and in many other countries. And it's starting to be suggested coming out of the UK that it may have worse outcomes as well. So that's a bit of a double piece of bad news there. And it means that we have to focus in on how the thing spreads. And it's a good time for us in Australia, now that it's arrived here and it's in our hotel quarantine, hopefully not in our community. It's a good time for us to refocus on how the virus spreads, which can be via the air. So it can be an airborne spread, like cigarette smoke in an enclosed space, or it can be by contact or by droplet when somebody sneezes and when they touch things. So we need to be very cautious about this B117 and focus on our PPE. We need to give top line front PPE to all the frontline workers, so people working in the airports and in hotels who are looking after people who have come back from overseas during their quarantine time. Everyone obviously needs to be in high grade PPE. We need to upgrade the ventilation in facilities where these people are being kept. On to hotel quarantine. Those two words shouldn't be in the same sentence. You could convert a hotel into a quarantine facility, but you shouldn't go halfway and just have some people quarantining in a hotel. You need to change the hotel fundamentally to make it a safe quarantine facility. And by that, I mean you need to change the staff. You need to get rid of all the other guests. You need to not have weddings there. There shouldn't be bars, restaurants, other functions going on. But that is the way we're currently running hotel quarantine. We're just sort of cordoning off a section of the hotel in most cases for the quarantine people. The airflow needs to be changed, so there's a lot of fresh air going through these buildings, and in some circumstances it will be possible to have negative pressure ventilation going through entire floors so that they're just blasting air through, making sure that the virus isn't spreading from room to room. That's possibly what happened in the Grand Chancellor in Brisbane, where a bunch of people all got infected in quarantine and they had to evacuate it, test all the staff and so on, because they're not taking the ventilation and the airborne PPE seriously enough in Australia at this stage, because the Commonwealth guidelines, in our view, remain inadequate for controlling that form of spread. We shouldn't be putting these people in buses with a bus driver who doesn't have a mask or just has a little surgical mask on, recirculated air. This is how it's escaped in the other states. New South Wales, for example, transport workers got infected. We know that if we measure the CO2 level, the carbon dioxide level that people breathe out in a vehicle with recirculated air on, it goes up very quickly. That's one of the reasons, along with carbon monoxide possible leaks, that cars will usually have an automatic function to put fresh air in from time to time. So we mustn't transport COVID positive people inside vehicles that don't have fresh air. This is all very basic stuff, but it's not being attended to at the moment. So let's turn our hotel quarantine into just quarantine in order to make it safe. The New Zealand case that's now been out in the community may well, it seems, have caught COVID in quarantine. And so we need to be very, very careful that we're not infecting people just before they leave quarantine and get out into our community, people who otherwise would never have represented a threat. In terms of the vaccination, 2 words: get vaccinated. No way that the government are going to hit a target of getting this rolled out in mid-February. In my view, I think that's logistically incredibly challenging, but the sooner the better for frontline workers. The better the vaccine, the better will be the program, and that's why we're hounding the government about the choices and trying to make sure that they're getting as much of the best vaccine possible to as many people as possible. Now, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be possible for everybody in the community, so we do need to accept whatever vaccine is available at the time. Maybe we'll need to revisit down the track and vaccinate people with a different vaccine subsequently in order to prevent transmission. But we do need to be aware that these vaccines at this stage are unlikely to prevent the disease from spreading through the community. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you get vaccinated, it doesn't mean you're never going to catch COVID. It just means it might not make you very sick when you catch it, and that's obviously a great thing. But if you do catch COVID, you'll remain well and you'll still be able to spread it around, give it to other people, and then eventually it'll come across someone who hasn't been vaccinated or someone who can't be vaccinated, and it could make them very sick. So we will still need to be very careful about our social distancing, the use of masks in certain situations, hand washing, all those sorts of things we're going to need to be careful about, and people who are infected with COVID will still be able to spread it through the air. So we'll still be looking at things like border restrictions, flight restrictions, masks and so on, and testing for a long time until we can safely prevent transmission or get pretty much all of the population vaccinated. Of course, the people who are missing out on this first round of vaccines are children, about 4.5 million of them in Australia, so that's a big group of people who won't get vaccinated. Some of them could get potentially very sick, so we still need to protect them after vaccination of the rest of the population, and people like those who are pregnant, those who are on chemo, all of those sort of people won't be able to get vaccinated at first, and so to protect them we're going to have to continue with all the other controls that we're getting quite used to at the moment. So stay safe. When you get a chance, do line up for a vaccine. We'll talk more about that over the coming weeks, and I hope that you have a very happy Australia Day.
And that's all for this week. We'll be back again next time, but for now, it's back to you.
Thank you, Nelson. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. You can always read the latest stories on our website, wamnews.com.au.
Until next Sunday evening, from Sarah and myself, we wish you good health and good night.
Take care.